How did I go from an empty project in Visual Studio Code to a fully functional, very beautiful options model? That is what I will show you in this video. I will go through step by step how to plan the project and how to execute it. I will use Claude Code and Gemini. Gemini to plan the project and Claude Code to execute. All of this done, planned, and executed in just a few minutes. Let's get started. In my other videos, I have exclusively used Claude Code. That's a personal preference. There are, of course, many other large language model tools that you could use. You can see here in my Visual Studio Code IDE that I have Claude Code, Gemini, and Codex installed as extensions. Subscription-wise, I have Max for Claude Code and Pro for Gemini, and I don't have a paid Codex subscription when I am filming this. So in terms of tokens, it's just more interesting for me to use Claude Code, and again, it's also a personal preference. For this video, I will start by planning in Gemini, see how that goes, and then carry out the plan in Claude Code. You can see that the visuals are quite similar to Claude Code CLI. Basically, if you have worked with one large language model CLI tool, you can work with all of them. Alright, let's see what it has done. Interesting, it wants me to use PHP plus vanilla JavaScript stack. It's talking about some prompt that was skipped, which I do not recognize, but let's just ignore that for now. Good stuff, it's keeping the front end simple, just as I asked it. I'm allergic to third-party dependencies, not gonna lie. That's because of all of the issues and scandals we've had. For example, NPM hacking and Vercel being exposed, so on and so forth. So at least with my private projects, I prefer to keep things simple and vanilla. This looks good, so I will approve. Alright, the plan is ready. I won't be carrying it out through Gemini as I specified before. We'll go over to Claude Code. Keep in mind, this is a video about option models. It's not a comparison between Claude Code, Gemini, or Codex. That is a topic for other videos. Let's look through the plan. It has the technical details, so hopefully another LLM tool can use it. Looking quite alright to me. It has the expected inputs and outputs. Core mathematical engine. And this is the backend. Looking at the mathematical engine, it looks good. Phase 2, API layer. And Phase 3, the dashboard. Looking at this, I see I did not specify anything about design, but that's something we can polish with Claude Code later. I'm happy it has a integration validation step for testing. For some projects, I let Claude Code do whatever it wants. That is to say, YOLO mode, automatic changes. For this project, and for pedagogical reasons, I prefer to have it ask before edits. And in the prompt, I told it to always ask the user feedback after finalizing a step. Now I'm asking Claude Code to carry out the plan. Note that I always ask the LLM to ask if there are any ambiguities. Code-wise, this is translated as, if there are any unclear instructions, do not guess, ask the user. At least this has worked quite well for me in Claude Code. This can of course change in the future depending on what Anthropic does to Claude Code, and the same for the other CLI tools that we've looked at, Gemini and Codex. We can see that Claude Code respected my notice about asking if there are ambiguities, so it has a few questions for me. Now if you carry out the prompt yourself that we use for the plan and for carrying out the project, you are of course free to answer these questions as fits your needs. Note that since LLM results are non-deterministic, that is to say, each time you run a prompt you can get a different answer, as large language models run on probabilities. We can see that Claude Code has some additional questions for me. You can see that I asked Claude Code to use the web search tool. That means it will initiate a search query. I'm assuming it will use sub-agents to do that in the backend, in parallel, but again, it depends on the context and its needs. I want to use web search to actually get an answer to what is best practice. And I asked it to show me the reference it's using. LLM tools don't weigh the trustworthiness of something unless you specifically asked for it. There's no truth to which website is more or less sketchy or has a truth on these kind of things. So unless I have a specific URL in mind or a rule set that I've written down in a skill.md file, I would need to just manually review these. Of course, in a professional setting, you already have a rule set on how to approve certain types of websites or how to conduct research. I feel that the references that Claude Code has given me are quite okay and relatively trustworthy, so I will ask it to use its own internal ranking. I forgot to ask it if it has any remaining questions before I clicked OK. Hopefully my additional instructions will make it ask if there are actually any remaining questions. You saw that I asked it to edit automatically, so I don't have to click OK for everything. We can see that phase 1 is complete. It has created 2 files, and it's asking some additional questions, so good that I stopped and actually asked it to let me know if it has any. Now, question number 1 is 100% on me. When I reinstalled Windows in this computer after having partitioned the computer to install Linux, it seems that I, in this new Windows installation, forgot to install PHP. Now that's done, as you can see in the other node that I had initiated. Phase 2 complete. Good stuff. Claude Code is very explicit on what it has done, and remaining ambiguities for phase 3. Use best practice is my go-to strategy when I don't have a preference. See, by asking for ambiguities, we remove the parts where the LLM guesses, and this is usually what pisses people off, feeling that the LLM is giving them nonsensical answers and so on. Here I can fix any issues that arise early. If you didn't know how to spell ambiguities before, you will most definitely do so after this video. Compared to my other videos, this project is a bit more demanding, and it does require a bit of human interaction. Of course, if you have an LLM ops structure in place, you won't need that. I'm not using LLM ops scale files that I would use, say, in a professional setting or in my other serious projects. If everything I just said doesn't make any sense to you, that's perfectly fine. Ask any questions you have in the comments. I hate the word ambiguities now. I really do. But yeah, for a serious project, you want to clear that kind of issues beforehand. And of course, the plan could have been a bit better, but I didn't want to waste time on that. Okay, it's done with phase 3. Let's see what it has done. Good stuff. Now it's time for phase 4, and it has some questions about that. Phase 4 complete. Good stuff. We see what it has created, the current architecture or structure. Now, something that irks me is that it's asked me to conduct the tests. I interpreted the plan, which I admittedly read quite quickly and not at all thoroughly, was that it would carry them out automatically and then let me know the result. It hasn't, so I'll ask it to do so now. Alright, it's telling me that the tests have passed. Now usually I would check the logs to see if this is true, just double check what kind of tests it has executed. This is a quick video. I haven't gone through all of the code it has generated. I haven't gone through much of anything while we executed this project. But we will assume in this case that we're happy with the output, and we will go ahead with starting the dashboard just in an instant. Okay, it launched the dashboard. And you know, despite me not giving any at all instructions on how it should look like, this is pretty decent. Let's try it out. Of course, if we're not happy with something, for example, we want to use day instead of years, or change anything else, we can do that in the chat box as per usual. I will pretend that I am super happy with this as is and do not wish to continue. Of course I will, but not in this video. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please click the like button and subscribe for more content. If you have any ideas for future videos, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. See you in the next one.